everybody. Before we dive into our next game, I'm joined here by family members of one of our top players in the league, and I'm going to talk to Alan. Now, Alan, you can introduce yourself. Sure.
Yeah, my name is Alan, and I'm Björksen's older brother, and I'm here in Cologne to see him play and support him this weekend.
Support him because he's doing very well in the LCS here. How long has he been playing League? Do you know that, or?
Well, I think it's around 2.5 years, and it's definitely developed during the 2.5 years of playing.
2.5 years of playing, and how did the family look at the fact that he wanted to make a career out of this?
Yeah, I think we expected it a bit because we knew he was really good, but we didn't know he was that good. But yeah, we just very proud of him that he made it so far.
And was it never kind of a problem with school and the fact that he trained a lot, and do you think it paid off?
Yes, sometimes he had to play a bit more and, you know, look a bit down to the homeworks, but I think it's all right when he made it that far. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, he's a very professional person, not only when he plays, always in interviews as well. Is that something you noticed in him when he was younger, too? Or?
Yeah, always thought he was really good at language and really good at, you know, speaking to people and talking for himself. So, yeah, I think he's doing really well.
He certainly is. He was forced to grow up a little faster. Of course, he's a very a young person, but he's been thrown into this, gets a lot of attention. How do you think he's dealing with that? And do you sometimes feel the need to maybe protect him a little from the big bad internet?
Oh. Yes, he's dealing very well with it. He is standing up during interview, which I hadn't thought he would do in front of a lot of people. And yeah, I don't think I have to protect him really, because he explains himself and talks very good English. But if he needs help, I'll of course support him.
Absolutely. Do you play League of Legends yourself, or do you know what's going on if you follow the game here?
Yeah, I've played it once, but I wasn't really good at it. But I've tried to be taught a bit by Björksen about what's going on. So yeah, I think I can follow it a bit.
Finally, you can follow it a bit, and when you sit here and you hear the people cheering, do you feel the tension as well, even though you maybe don't understand the finer points of the game?
Yeah, definitely. I feel the tension, and especially yesterday against the Giants, it was a really important game. I sat here and was a bit shaky because it was an important game and felt the tension.
Do you have a message for your little brother?
Yeah, keep going, Björksen. You're really good.
Voila. Thank you very much, Alan. All right.
You're welcome.
Time to go over to our casters, Demon and Quickshot, as we're going into our next game.
Thank you very much, Jacques. So it is time to get underway for the second half of the day. 4 more games to go, and this time it's going to be Giants versus Fnatic. Of course, Fnatic, they did have victories earlier on in the day. Pretty convincing as well, and they are continuing to chase for that top spot. Of course, Gambit will be playing after this one. It's a battle, really, between those two right now. That is really the only positions that can change hands right now.
Yeah, there's nothing that can happen. You know, the top 6 are all locked in. It's up to bragging rights now for first or second, and also the preferred seed of which team they're going to be battling off against.
Yeah, it is all about the pride, but of course, Fnatic, they don't want to lose. We saw them having a little bit of fun earlier on in the day.
Exactly. Earlier today, Giants, we have to remember the game that they did lose to SK Gaming. It was a 62-minute thriller, and Giants fought hard all the way down to the last man and the last minute. So they should be fairly proud of their performance, but they'll be hoping to turn that around against Fnatic. Fnatic, they also picked up a victory against the Dragonborns in much more dramatic, fantastic style, as it were, along with all of the slayings that they put through in the particular match. They're guaranteed top 2, like you've already said, and if they can pick up a win in this, their very, very last game of the season, they're going to be very happy with their performance.
Yeah, see whether they can get that first spot. So let's check out the lineups, of course, for Giants. It is going to be Samux in that top lane. Played a great Kha'Zix earlier on in the day. Can he repeat that performance? Morden in the jungle. He played a very good Elise as well. Extermin, Jim Bones, and Babetta.
And for Fnatic, so as Cyanide, Xpecker, Yellow Star, and N-Rated.
So, what will they go with? Picks and Ban's going to be coming up shortly. We did see Twisted Fate coming out from Froggen in the last match. That's a champion that Peke would love to get his hands on. We saw a Kassadin also coming out against the Karthus that was selected by Extermin. I don't think he's going to fall for that one again, that's for sure.
No, I don't think so at all. Alex's Cassidy earlier was also fantastic. So we'll see how they decide to play it. We know that, Pekka, he likes to play those sort of assassin types champions or champions that can split push. But what we've been seeing from Fnatic this weekend is some unique picks, some different types of compositions. So maybe they've got something prepared for Giants. Right now, they come into this matchup with a 3-0 head-to-head. So they're definitely the big favorites for this matchup. And we keep saying it, it's just about pride right now. It's just getting that practice in, and for Giants, really trying to work together as best as possible going into the relegation tournament.
And going back to WCG 2011, Peke actually played with these guys in the Spanish team. They know each other well. They know each other very well. He was the mid laner for them. And he's mixed up with them, so, obviously Spanish ties between the teams. But Fnatic, definitely, we saw Peke on the desk earlier on saying how they've transcended into Season 3 so well. And now the pressure, actually, they're going to feel it coming into the second half of the season.
Yeah, all eyes are on them now, looking at their games, reviewing how do they play, what do they play, how can we beat them, what can we do to beat them. And with that much pressure on you, it's up to them to perform, but it's also up to teams like the Giants who have good relationships with the players. I know that for Fnatic, they've had a couple of Giants members as subs in the past. I know that for Giants, I know for a fact that Peke is sub for them in different scrims and practice regimes. So we'll see what they decide to pull out, but I think Twisted Fate would be a high priority pick or ban, and probably Thresh as well is what we've been seeing from Giants.
So picks and bans just about to get underway. We'll see whether they do take away any of the key champions. Generally, standard ones come out there. Nasus is going to be removed. I would expect to see Twisted Fate removed from this one. Kha'Zix probably will go as well. Shen maybe. These are all standard picks and bans right now. So far, though, it is only Nasus and Kennen.
So the interesting pick for me that I'd like to see is what Morden's going to jungle, because we know both teams do like to play Elise, a very versatile champion. Morden almost always runs it in the jungle for his team, but he ran Nautilus yesterday, day before yesterday, to pretty good effect. We've seen Nautilus today already that did very well. So we'll see what Morden does decide to jungle, because he's the one that's really more of an innovator in his team than most of the other roles.
Slower bans as well today. They're not, earlier on in the day they were just
bang.
But now it's definitely slowed down a little bit. Shen does get taken away, so despite the fact he's going a little bit slower, it's still the same old bans.
Yeah, it's going to be the same champion pool. Everybody knows what they like to play against, what they would like to run. But I imagine that the timing for these bans would indicate that these teams maybe haven't put as much preparation time into this game. Remember that it is the last match of the season for both of these two teams, and they're going to be going off their previous knowledge. They're going to be going off their experiences and their build-up today. And you can see that Elise has been removed from Fnatic. They don't want Morden playing that in the jungle. He had a great game against SK. He was a thorn in their side, and obviously they would like to force Morden to play maybe a less impactful jungler in this particular matchup.
Does this mean that Jarvan, Twisted Fate, Kha'Zix, they're all available? Nuno has been banned from SOAS. My God, they've actually forced the ban. SOAS will like that one, a big grin on his face. They're just like, we don't want that pain in the backside in that top lane.
No, do not want to deal with a giant Yeti at all. What it does mean is that champions like Leona is free for Enrated. We see that Enrated has actually been the target of many bans over the last few weeks, and having that free is obviously going to play into his hands. But in terms of the high priority picks, I would imagine, Shen's gone, sorry, Zed is who I was thinking of. Kale we've seen, Ryze, Karthus, there's a number of good picks for these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, they could go straight for Kha'Zix and Zed together.
Kha'Zix, yeah, so Kha'Zix is there. Misfortune is available as well. We've seen MF being first picked a number of times. So anything is out there for Fnatic, trying to guess what they're going to play, depending on if they're going to play a standard composition or they're going to try something unique because it is the last game of the season. Who knows?
Samex does look like it's going to be the Jarvan the fourth, getting locked in. The Damashian Prince has been there a number of times, the first pick for this weekend, and it seems like nothing is going to change for this match.
No, not at all. So going to throw him in the jungle most likely for Morden. Exactly like you said, Kha'Zix and Zed probably going to be the two that'll be picked up. Volibear is still available if they want to go that route. Cyanide is currently sitting on that Ghost and Smite, so he may decide to go for a jungler like that. Instead, Enrated, we're going to see him giving his hands to Thresh.
That's going to be nice to see whether the Thresh Prince can get challenged by N-Rated. Of course, Zed I expect that to be Soaz in the top lane, do you think? Maybe Peke? But I think it's going to be Soaz. Soaz tends to be the one that runs Zed.
It can go either way. We've seen
Yeah.
both players, playing Zed, and it just depends on the rest of the composition. So what it does mean for Giants is they're not sure where Zed's going to go either. And depending on what they lock in now, will give Fnatic the ability to either counter pick or say, yeah, we like this matchup. What I do want to point out is that in terms of these two compositions, we still have got like every single AD carry available with the exception of Kennen. And for Giants, we've seen them running Ashe, we've seen them running MF, we've seen Varus's and things like that. And if Caitlyn gets locked in, it's going to be another AD that we haven't seen. Caitlyn's fallen off the last few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see what Jim Bones can do with that one alongside Zyra. That's a long range duo lane that they have there. So Fnatic are going to have something to think about because Thresh is really going to struggle to try and grab either of those.
On the bright side, if he does grab onto Zyra, that's going to be a very powerful combo. I don't know if we're going to see the Draven, but it would be a great combo. Land the death sentence, get one auto attacks with the spinning axes onto Zyra, and that's a very easy early level kill that you can pull out in your favor. So if the Volley Bear does get locked in here, and he's obviously going to be in Cyanide's hands, that Ghost is really sort of giving it away, letting us know that's what he wants to play. But interestingly, down to the last 3 picks, and Kha'Zix still available, has not been picked up yet.
We'll see whether he does go with that one. Draven's still been selected. He hasn't switched back across the Twitch as a champion that he's chosen a number of times. Yes, despite the fact that it is going to be Ezreal maybe he switches across to. He's going to try and see if he can get that mobility and go aggressive against possibly the likes of Zyra, try and zip around that route that he does. No, he goes back to the Rat.
Gonna go back to the Rat. So if he was going to go Ezreal, was to get away from the grasping roots, to get out of the Cataclysm. Instead, he goes back to the champion that he has been playing a number of times this weekend. Just the amount of damage that you can put down. And again, great powerful combo, especially in the early levels. Get a couple of auto attacks done, use that expunge. It really hits hard in the laning phase. So I like this thing, but exactly like we've seen from Fnatic, they haven't revealed the counter pick right now.
He's got the worst poker face in the world.
Yeah, it was happening earlier today as well when Babetta was doing it. He even had the eyebrows going like, do you want to play? Do you want to play?
You want to see this?
So we'll see exactly what does get locked in. But I do feel that Soaz is the preferred pick for Zed right now. Now that they see Aurelia has been locked in, now the discussions will talk between Fnatic. Do we want to put Zed versus Aurelia in the top lane? Or do we want to put Zed versus potentially Diana in the mid lane? And it's going to be up to Xpeke to decide.
It's going to be Dirty Diana getting locked in alongside Aurelia. Let's see how this one works out, though. With the final pick, will it be for Peke? I'm expecting Kha'Zix.
It can work. Kha'Zix into Diana would be a very aggressive lane if he does decide to go that route. And we've seen the combo before where they've actually, done a lot of their pressure. Cassidy is still available as well. We've seen the Cassidy Zed combo where they camped Kevin many times, picked up a number of kills. So that's another option that they could go for if they wanted to. But and we've seen Peke running Ahri yesterday, who would also do relatively well against somebody like Diana, has the ability to dash away, can taunt her up and charm her, and then obviously get to safety. So I think one of those three would probably be where my money would lie.
We'll see which Peke goes with. Its N-rated decision. Tends to be the playmaker as well for Fnatic, which doesn't always happen in the support. They're thinking a mistake for Type A Assassins. He used to be the main playmaker as well. Of course, he switched across to Type A Snipers now, but it looks like it could be Ahri once again for Peke.
So he's going back to the champion that he did so well with yesterday, if I remember correctly. Earlier today, he was playing on Kha'Zix. Got the quadra kill. And then, for Ahri, he got the first blood yesterday. Bjergsen was very animated. He was animated about that first blood. It was Ahri versus Twisted Fate. And dramatic game. Fnatic ended up losing, but Peke did pretty well with Ahri. It's a non-traditional mage because she doesn't necessarily have that straight up upfront burst potential like a Diana does, but she's much more mobile, much more has much better range in that regard. So it's a great pickup, and we'll be able to at least counter those lunar rushes from Diana.
So what do we see from the overall team compositions? Of course, we've got a bit of diving coming out from the Giants. We're going to have the dive buddies of Jarvan and Aurelia getting in there, Diana as well. Everybody really rushing straight in, but that leaves Caitlyn quite exposed in the back there alongside Zyra.
So it does play into her favor a little bit because Caitlyn has obviously got that insanely good range to sit back, and while Fnatic is dealing with the dive buddies, we're going to have this situation where Fnatic, Xpeke are going to be, Soaz and Xpeke are going to be diving onto Caitlyn to try to take out Jim Bones from the game. If they succeed in that, it's going to be become a matter of whose dive buddies can do more damage once their targets are down. Because Twitch, he's a very squishy champion, and outside of Volley Bear for a little bit of slow and Thresh, there's not much protection for him. whereas Jarvan and Irelia and Diana can all protect Caitlyn, and obviously Zyra, one of the best counter-initiation champions in the game.
Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see the backdoor king of XPeke getting involved in this one. The eyebrows come out from Babetta. He's giving it the flinch. You can tell it's not Extermin that's next to him. It's all about the hair.
Babetta's in good spirits and has been all day.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to be sitting there with a big smile on your face when you realize that, you know, you're out. You're not part of the LCS right now. You need to re-qualify. And these games are literally training for those re-qualification games. Nevertheless, we are zooming into this game with a brand new transitional effect. And we are live with Giants vs Fnatic.
We are indeed live and loud, ladies and gentlemen. Time to introduce you into the show. And it's going to be Giants as the blue team, Fnatic as the red team coming into this one. I don't think we're going to see any level 1 shenanigans, despite the fact that they could be a little bit paranoid. They have no vision whatsoever across the map right now. And I don't want to change the world, but it's looking like we're not going to see anything. Babetta thought about going for it there, but Yellow Star just keeping his eye on them.
Yeah, I definitely considered it. In terms of level 1, I definitely prefer the level 1 from Giants. I feel they have slightly better synergy in all their champions, and with those grasping roots, a multi-man route is extremely powerful. But it's just some vision, and this is something Giants have done all weekend, actually. Grouped up as 4 as 5, moved towards that Wraith camp, put a ward down, and backed away.
Okay, not going for the bait there. McStermott was trying to see him. Ooh, Soaz, you are very far forward. He has full vision of Giants passing by, and he's going to back away from this one. He knows there's a 3-man invade coming out from the Giants here, and Fnatic, they are going to respond to this in force.
So they are starting to group up. They know that there's only 3 members. They have the numbers advantage right now, and with that ward that has gone down, they are going to see Morden moving up. Soaz is still hanging around, and look at the grouping of Fnatic over near the red buff. This is a 4-in-1 split effectively. They need to be very careful if they decide to engage on this. They're anticipating the red buff steal from Giants, and they're waiting for this.
Soaz is the only one. He will get spotted if he goes back through that tri-bush. The golems are being taken away, and it's the red buff they're expecting, but they're going to see them all coming back out. So that's actually a good invade so far for Giants, unless they go deeper.
It depends on the direction they go, because Giants are about to walk into 4 members of Fnatic. Remember, the vision from the standard. All of that anticipation, and at the end, nothing happens.
Yeah, now Soaz just about backs away, didn't have the desire to stick around. And this time, no, Yellow Star, he's going to get caught in there. There's the hook on towards Extermin. It's a 3-man turnaround. The Ignite's going to be running. Is it going to be enough? He's going to have that barrier. The poison's on him as well, but he should survive.
Exter manages to get away and did so well there. His level 1 ability went into Pale Cascade, which gave him the shield, his W. That blocked up some of the damage from that Ignite and the poison. Yellow Star eats a peacemaker for his troubles.
He does manage to get a good couple of shots on towards Yellow Star as well. Very nicely done. The basic attacks, and again, this is just like before. Earlier on in the day, Yellow Star returns to that top lane with half health.
Yeah, immediately at a disadvantage, but they managed to pull that one back after a fairly shaky start with a number of great plays in that particular lane. So we'll see how this works out. In that setup, it was Zyra in the hands of Enrated. He landed a good number of roots and got Yellow Star from being low HP and behind on CS to 3-0-1 in a match of 10 or 12 minutes.
See how that cop works out for Jim Bones. He's on Caitlyn Cop right now. He's going to keep the poke, and he's going to have that range advantage over Yellow Star, so it's a big advantage in that top lane that they're going to gain. With Extermin versus Peke, meanwhile, in this mid lane, we'll see how that one stacks out. Diana versus Ari.
Yeah, so Diana versus Ari, it's going to be a matchup of skill shots at the early level. An Orb of Deception will, a lot of the damage be blocked up by Pale Cascade until some more ability power has been secured by Peke. But like we've seen him doing yesterday to Bjergsen, if he lands a good charm, a lot of free damage will follow.
See whether Enrated decides to go for anything. As it does, it means they're going to be sitting very much back on their turret. Don't expect those hooks to come out just yet. They're not really in a position unless Cyanide goes looking.
And you talked about the range earlier. You have to remember that's the range on both of the champions, because Caitlyn, of course, 650, outranges both of her opponents. Zyra, range 575, outranges both as well. So you've got Thresh with a 475 range. He's not going to be able to land an auto attack without taking at least 1 or 2 in reply.
Very nice coordination between Enrated and Yellow Star there. Enrated setting them up, getting the lash in before the tower hit comes in, and then Yellow Star was picking up the CS.
It's definitely one of the things you have to practice and train as a duo lane to make sure you get all of those last hits without having any additional AD. You know, you need those Door and Blades levels. At the moment, though, Cyanide is snuck into this bottom lane. There are no wards here either, so Samux is not going to be aware of this. And remember that Rolling Thunder will throw Samux's Aurelia backwards, allowing Soes to land some more abilities.
Very light-footed for a bear, but it has got a big creep wave pushing up right now. Don't forget, just off the top of your screen, Morden is there as well, so they're kind of both baiting each other for this one.
And here comes the fight. Samux immediately flashes away, but look at Morden coming in from the side.
Well, we do see Morden. He was there. He thought about going for Soaz, but instead, both teams really choosing wisely and backing away from the fight.
Well, they're definitely going to be happy with that. They got the flash and the ignite out of Samux. Yellowstar just sidesteps the route, but he does take a good amount of poke, 33% of his health at least.
And that Piltover Peacemaker, it's still doing a lot of damage, especially when it doesn't hit anything on the way through. He's the first person to get caught out. A big whack of that great big thing. Peke, though, meanwhile, trying to throw some balls out towards the Crescent Strike of Extermin.
So Peke at the moment, how's he doing CS? 33 to 18. He's really making use of that range on Ari to land auto attack after auto attack, as well as every single ability to make sure he's got a great advantage of CS in the mid lane.
Yeah, look at the top lane CS though. It's a huge difference right now. 44 to 25, definitely building up, pushing him on that turret. Meanwhile, we do see the charm. It lands straight across there. Peke hasn't got 6 yet, and you just see the pull. The Moonfall comes in there. Morden hasn't used his slide just yet. He should be able to get on towards it, but in comes Cyanide, flips him, doesn't go towards the turret though, unfortunately, and it does save Peke's bacon.
Scumbag Cyanide actually throwing Jarvan closer to his nearly dead ally. But it was all calculated. They knew it was going to work out for the best. And you were talking about the top CS, still at 18, 19 difference between those two right now. You're going to have to keep very close eyes on this. But this is exactly what happened against the Dragonborns earlier. And some very good lane kills of a straight up 2v2. Fnatic managed to pull it in their favor.
Samux has returned back to the top lane, or bottom lane as it currently is, the solo lane, I think it's safe to call it in this one. He had that red pot earlier on, Theron's played, and a longsword as well, picked up with a couple of health potions, and in fact a mana potion in there just to keep himself topped off there, which is something you don't normally get on Aurelia.
No, definitely not, but it tells you he wants to be relying on hit and style as well as those blade surges under tower, so making sure he's always got the ability to last hit, and it's showing because he's had a gank to deal with. He had to burn his flash and ignite early, and he's only a little bit behind in terms of CS, but it is a difference nonetheless.
Fnatic look like they're both going to back away and fight. But better not going to let them do that. Throw some plants and seeds at them. And it does slow down N-Rated and Yellowstar's return, and in fact they're going to stick around now because they're going to stay in that top lane a little bit longer. It does also mean that Cyanide's coming across to help out the golems for Yellowstar.
Well, at the moment Yellowstar is an item and a half behind Jimbones, the Doran's Blade and that Vamp Scepter, so he's going to need to recall and at least pick up some additional attack damage because he's not going to be able to trade. And Rated is sitting up in the top lane, and here comes the bear.
The big angry bear here, he flashes over the route there, just getting towards Babetta. Babetta trying to do anything he can to try and cause problems, but it's going to be Yellowstar picking up the first kill there. Very nicely played there, and really well worked from Cyanide. Flashed over that grasping route.
Yeah, very well played, but it's not over as Peke has jumped on.
Peke is getting dived on, but I don't think Extermin's going to quite have enough to finish that one off, and he will back away. Didn't have the help from his jungler.
No, didn't have that extra damage, but Peke's picked the fight.
He's going all in here, using his ultimate, tries to throw out the charm, didn't quite get it in there though.
No, not quite charming enough this time, but there will be another attempt later, I'm sure. Ultimate burn from Peke, and that's obviously going to play into Exter's favor as that Lunar Rush has a significantly shorter cooldown. If they, trade in the next minute and a half, 2 minutes while the ultimate's down, he will be able to out-damage him.
So, let's return back to normality there. Oh, the death sentence coming out from N-Rated, trying to act as Mr. Crowley, but couldn't quite land it, and I just don't know.
Very well played there. We'll see how they play this out. Remember that Yellowstar still is that Vamp Scepter and Doran's behind. Ace in the hole goes up, that hits.
Well, Ace in the hole does hit. He had to use his red pot, but N-Rated's going to get caught out here. He's going to be surely one more hit comes down. As soon as that walk was placed, his death sentence was signed, and it was the road to nowhere for him.
Yeah, so greatly, very well played by both Jimbones and Babetta. Landed all the abilities. You actually seen that N-Rated try to catch that Ace in the hole, but unfortunately, he just ended up walking him into a grasping root. But down in the bottom lane now, Soaz has been dived.
Samux is getting on towards him. He's going to have to turn around. He puts the death sentence down on towards Samux. Samux immediately turns his ultimate back around. Will he flash through on this one? No. Doesn't bother chasing.
No flash not available just yet. If he'd had vision, he may have been able to dive on him with that blade surge. But Samux already showing he can out-duel and out-trade with Soaz in the bottom lane. Soaz used that death mark, and it did very little damage at the end of the day. With all this, the regen from that Heathen style in Irelia, she's going to be back up to full health before the next fight.
And if memory serves, he's only really the second player that's actually used Irelia in the European LCS. Obviously, the other person being Kevin has used it so successfully. We just don't see any other players using it, though.
So many weeks ago, we did see Wicked trying to use it, but he did actually lose that particular game, and Soaz is under trouble.
Absolutely diving up towards the turret. He should get him off there. The Ignite takes it down. You can see Cyanide. He wants to get in. Will we see Samux flying high again? I don't think it's going to happen this time.
Samux is trying to run away, but the fact that he's got those boots and the fact that on the middle lane there's another fight.
Oh, Extermin's going to dive in on Peke. Well, we don't have Sven played at least this time around. Oh, he's going to dive out of the way of it. Very nicely played. Uses his ultimate. The charm doesn't quite land. One more shot should do it. And Peke picks up the kill. It was a suicide solution for Extermin.
Great play from Peke. He flashed as soon as that Moonfall was about to be casted, so he wasn't held in place. The Giants, they immediately want to counter-attack, though. Morden, with Cataclysm available, is moving up into this top lane. He does have his flash as well if he wants to go for that, but Babetta may be responsible for setting it up, as he's going to need to land either the root or the ulti.
So Giants in this top lane. This is their saving grace right now. They have 85 CS to 71, working out well between those two. The bottom lane is actually still fairly even despite the kill, obviously going towards Samux there. We do see Yellowstar having to get yanked back away by that Lantern. But Jim Bones, he's really starting to cause problems, and Morton sneaking in that bush.
Very important that that Lantern is down. It does have a fairly high cooldown, around 20-odd seconds. So if the Giants time it right, they may be able to get in before that's available, which means the get-out-of-jail-free card is not there for Yellowstar. It will be available, though, if they decide to dive. And Morden, he's just enjoying the view right now.
I'm wondering if they're thinking of diving on towards the turret. Meanwhile, Peke again, he's getting dived once again by Extermin. Determined to try and pick this one up, but Peke doesn't turn aggressive this time, hasn't got his ultimate available.
So interestingly, if you look at the way Peke is skilled, Ari, he's put 5 points into his W and his maxing Q second. So it's a fairly good charm that time round, but hasn't managed to land it earlier when he was picking up those kills.
Very important, though, the fact that he did land it, took him down to about half health, and now his ultimate's available, so he may look for the revenge. Meanwhile, down the bottom, Samux diving one towards Soaz once again, but the death sentence comes out. Now we see up to the top lane. It's back and forth action. Yellowstar, oh, he can't dodge out the passive, though, and he's just going to get Cataclysm bounced on his head, and it's a double kill for Jim Bones.
So 2-for-1 trade up in the top lane. They lose Babetta. He played bait, and he played the ultimate bait because it cost him his life. In the bottom lane, Soaz was managed to outplay Samux because he baited the dive. He managed to allow Samux to take more tower hits, and he actually picked up that kill. What it does mean is Fnatic going to pick up a free dragon because they have the numbers advantage and the positional advantage.
Okay, just holding off Extermin in that mid lane while the dragon goes towards Fnatic. So, 4-4 in kills, just 800 gold between them. That first turret going down in the top lane for the Giants, but Fnatic, they are a little bit pressured across the rest of the lanes. It's pretty even in this mid lane, I'll say that. It's actually very much all towards Peke, and say goodbye to Romance because the charm lands once again, and Peke picks up the kill for Extermin.
Kaboom is the story. If you can catch somebody alone and you land all of your abilities, that's when Ari becomes a proper assassin. But you need to be 100% positioned correctly and land every single ability, which is exactly what Peke did. He's extended his CS lead to a 40 and he's charmed Morden under the tower.
Morden tries to go in, actually slides away from it this time. The Caitlyn's trap, came to the 90 caliber net was used to get the hell out of there.
Not the 50 caliber net today.
Not the 50 caliber net today, no.
But great play by Peke. He's in complete control of this middle lane. With that Nina's large rod and double Dorans, he's out damaging Exta, and he's just really stamping an authority on this matchup. If he continues this, he's going to be able to one-shot pretty much anybody on the opposing team until they pick up some magic resist.
Soaz and Cyanide setting up to maybe trying to go for the gank in that bottom lane. As it stands, though, we do see the top lane Yellowstar just holding them off. but it's a fantastic performance from Jimbones so far. Cyanide just teetering on the edge in that bottom lane. They're going to go in towards Samux. Here he goes. He's down on all 4 paws. He's going to try and charge. The death mark comes out from Soaz, but I think Samux has managed to avoid the damage.
Yeah, very well played. He managed to get away to safety. He was popping that ultimate just to get some additional regen. We didn't point out that the top tower went down after that double kill earlier. And interestingly, with Jimbones being 3-0-0, he's got this mid-game power spike right now where Twitch needs to get some more items, a lot more items before he can contend. But the one thing Twitch does have in his favor is he can hit multiple targets with his ultimate. Once he starts using that spray and pray and it goes through everybody, he'll actually be doing fairly similar damage numbers as Cyanide has going toe-to-toe with Extra.
Wow, he's just not hanging around here. He knows that Becca is going to come across. Charm comes across. Ari used his ultimate there. So Becca is actually going to take it low. Gets melted. Extermin takes him down. And now Cyanide trying to get on towards Extermin. But now Morton comes around. Samux is there as well. Cyanide has to use his flash, all 4 paws, and then just walks away like a boss.
Manages to saunter, but the fight's not over because Babetta's coming in from the side, and here goes Samux.
Samux has managed to close him down. He's going to be shot in the dark. Caitlyn gets in there. Beautiful ace in the hole.
So well played there from Giants. They coordinated and communicated that perfectly. They now even up the kill score 6-6. They will take their 2nd tower of the game. But while that's been going on, Soaz is fighting. And Rated's caught Jims, but there's no one around to help out.
Pulls him in there. The lantern gets thrown out again. Fnatic just about holding them off here. And they're just going to keep them away from that middle turret. But it's 2-1 right now for Giants in terms of turrets. They are working out very well. But Soaz has been left alone in this bottom lane. And he's starting to put damage down. He's took half the hit points off that inner turret.
And he is about to get encroached upon. You can see Morden coming around the corner. Cataclysm is available. And he's in perfect position to challenge. But I don't know if he's going to DPS for the kill.
He's got help from Babetta here as well. Doesn't manage to land the grasping roots. Instead, Babetta is going to get turned on. Deathmark comes down from Soaz, but no more tears for him because he walks away from it.
Great exhaust there from Babetta to mitigate some of the damage that Soaz is putting down. Gets away to safety, but very, very importantly, flash, exhaust, and ultimate down for Babetta. That has to be some go signs for Fnatic to group up and try pick a fight.
Okay, he's off getting up his blue buff. He's going to take that himself. And meanwhile, Extermin pushes on the bottom lane. So, how are things leveling out? It's 1,000 gold between them right now. Fnatic, of course, with that slight edge. Looking across the gold, across the board, it is Soaz with that slight advantage. Only so small, though. 400 gold in the top lane between Samux and himself. Middle lane is where the real difference is for the AP champions. Peke leading quite considerably over Extermin, but the AD carries turning it around. And Soaz, look at that. That just shows the power of Jimbones. As Ace in the hole comes out, he really is a miracle man right now.
And fight's not over. Peke jumping onto Extra.
He dives straight in there, and you can see he's going to try and turn it around. Peke flashes out of the ultimate, though, and he's going to get down on towards Morden. Can he turn the kill? What? He lands the charm on towards Morden. One more kill. It will be a 2v1. Fantastic play from Peke.
That was phenomenal from Peke. He managed to stay alive. Extra actually stepped back into the orb of deception. It was on the return flight to Path, and he took the true damage to the face like a man. Cost him his life, and obviously the 2nd kill as well. Peke 5-1-0. Rabadon's death cap at 16 minutes, and a good chunk of change, but Jims has found the rat.
Jims has found the rat, but he doesn't really want a part of it, despite the fact I think he's so far ahead of them in terms of items. He's 5-0 right now, Jimbones. Really is the saving grace for Giants.
Now, if they can protect Jimbones in the team fight, that is how they can win them. But that's going to be the key for both Aurelia and Jarvan to pay careful attention to. Protect Jims at all costs. Allow him to auto-attack. Yellow Star's thinking about going in on this, but he's a long way away in terms of itemization. Maybe just scouting it out.
He's just having to think about it. Peke, though, on the reverse side, is 5-1-0 himself. And look at this, he's nearly built up a 50 CS advantage over Extermin.
So the one thing that's going to play into their favor is the mobility that Peke offers. If he can join a fight a little bit late and dive onto Jims after, as they're going on Babetta.
Deathmark goes in on towards Babetta. Peke picks up the kill. They try and back away from this one, but the moonfall's there. But the lantern thrown out and saves Peke.
Deathmark didn't even get to pop from Soaz before Babetta was dropped. The damage that the two of them can put down is great. And you've got to remember they can do it to both. Is Ace in the hole available for Caitlyn? If Yellow Star takes 1 or 2 more hits, he's at risk of going down.
Well, we see Cyanide sneaking back around. Jimbones is about to back off in his top lane. There's 3 members closing in there. Can they get to him before he gets the back? Whoa!
They got him!
He's caught out there. The barrier comes out, but it's only a saving grace. He might get Yellowstar. No, the turret wasn't focusing on him, but they do get Morden on towards it. He could try and chase this one. If he can just slide and get the Cataclysm, it will be blind, though. And now Morden can cut down on Soaz.
And Morden actually had his flash available there, so he's playing very, very safe. Does decide to slide over the wall, and Soaz immediately just uses that shadow of his to dash over. Now Peke is looking for Samax. Let's see how much damage he really has, because this is going to be a point-blank charm.
Well, they just trade places in the top lane, and now Samax and Peke. Has Peke got enough to go toe-for-toe with Samax here? He's got that Blade of the Rune King, but there's a lot of damage on Peke. Doesn't quite land the charm, instead just get the balls flying. He is going to use that ultimate to chase him down. The hook comes out, but he gets flashed out from Samax, and actually doesn't take a great deal of damage there.
No, none at all, and that's what I was a little concerned about. Irelia is very, very tanky naturally as a champion. Already has that Blade of the Rune King as well as an Null Magic Mantle, so we'll be working towards some additional defensive statistics. But you've seen how effective that Blade active was. Got his movement speed up and just ran away to safety. Did have to burn the flash though.
Sturmin back in that mid lane, farming it out, but it does look like Fnatic. They're going to try and take the dragon away, but better just using those seeds to get a vision of it. They can see it's there. Samax actually coming around. Looks like Giants may want this one.
So it does look like they've got some positioning, but they are split, and it looks like he's been caught.
The death sentence comes down, and Exterminator's caught out there. He's not going to be able to get away from the War Pigs of Fnatic.
Now, unfortunately, Exter wasn't anticipating the death sentence at all. He pretty much face-checked that, and unfortunately got caught out, cost him his life. So another dragon goes the way of Fnatic. That's the second of the game thus far. 11-8 in terms of kills, and obviously with the CS advantages that they have, it's paying dividends in terms of gold. Now they're going to start sieging this middle lane.
The death sentences keep getting thrown out, but not landing so far from Enrated. Cyanide warding out the blue buff, and he heads it back towards that top just alongside Peke.
So interesting boots upgrade coming out of Peke. He's decided to go for the Fura boots, which are obviously going to give the additional movement speed. So that's going to be great for chasing and for, you know, running away if you land some attacks. But it only works off single target spells or abilities. So I'm not 100% sure if that works on Foxfire. We'll have to double check if he gets the movement speed.
Being that we're in Germany, I'd prefer to call them Fura boots. Or just anything else other than Fura boots.
Furia boots. There we go. We'll go with Furia boots. Soaz has just been jumped on.
Oh, absolutely melted in that bottom lane, but Better picks up the kill. But now Peke actually gets on towards Jimbones, and Jimbones goes down in the top lane. That's a big, important death. And Peke, really the 2 highest scorers, chasing, getting the kills, and Peke proving out that he is much, much stronger than Jimbones when it comes to a one-on-one.
And he's going to have to do that in and amongst every single team fight if they want to guarantee a Fnatic victory. In terms of the 9 kills, with 5 of them being on a single target, once that damage threat and that damage source is removed, there's nothing that they can do. So Fnatic, they're trying their split pushing at the moment. Peke is up in that top lane. He still has a champion that can shove very, very well, and obviously has all that mobility to escape ganks.
Sturmin looking like he might try and go aggressive there. Didn't manage to land the Crescent Strike, but he's going to continue barking at the moon on towards Yellowstar. Can't quite get it down. The Moon Princess, I think is named as, but didn't quite land it through.
No, not this time round. Yellowstar gets stealthed up and does manage to get to safety. Still so far behind in terms of items to his direct counterpart. Only sitting on that Cutlass and a BF sword. So we'll see how he decides to itemize and upgrade. But luckily for Fnatic, the Giants team fights.
Yeah, great blue steel there as well by Samax to follow that straight up. Spots out Wicked. Are they going to get any support? Is Samax going to maybe go in a straight 1v1? Has to be careful because Peke is heading down that bottom lane, and look at that, they've just pinged on it. They know that he's there because he passed that ward that was by the blue buff.
So he does manage to back away, realizing that nobody from Fnatic is pushed into lane, and they just start getting those spider senses tingling.
Oh, Peke's gone straight into the bush. The moment he showed himself, Peke snuck in towards that side bush. He's not having any of it.
No, not right now. Remember, though, Samax did not take as much damage as we were anticipating the last time Peke went head-to-head with him. So it's going to take quite a lot for him to get in there and burst him down. We do see some items being picked up across the board. Aegis of the Legion completed now for the Giants. That's obviously going to help them with all the magic damage that's coming down from actually both Volibear as well as Ari. And in terms of our top laners, Black Cleaver being worked towards there for Soaz.
So let's take stock of the situation. Those are the items you just said in that top lane, and it is 4,000 gold, still advantage for Fnatic. 12-9 in terms of kills. 3-2 though, advantage for Giants still in the turrets. So Giants still really pushing well. They're yet to pull together as a full team right now. As is the same with Fnatic. Cyanide kind of caught out of position here, and he has got just in the top lane, but that does mean the mid lane is completely exposed.
Yeah, you see Fnatic going in there, Soaz trying to catch onto Babetta, but missed a lot of his Shadow Clone abilities, meaning the Deathmark pop did not do quite as much as many were anticipating. They do pick up their third tower of the game to even that up at 3-3, and it looks like now Giants are starting to group up. Samox is about to find Yellowstar. The timing on that stealth was fantastic.
Watching whether he actually caught a glimpse of him or not. I don't think he did, but he has now anyway, so it's completely irrelevant. That's a Mafia boss, Rat, currently shooting down all those minions with his... Is it Tommy gun, I guess?
I believe it's a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
I always find the sound effects on that Tommy gun a little uninspiring. Giants have grouped up as 4 now on this blue buff, and they're trying to shove this bottom inner turret down. Yellowstar's the only one nearby. Fnatic do have fairly mobile champions, so they should be here to defend, but it will be a 4 versus 5 if Giants decide to engage.
Yeah, Samox is a long way from that, and he's had to back away. You can see he's now running in towards it. Remember the damage that Caitlyn has, poking on towards that turret from range, but Fnatic react very quickly.
See, the siege potential from Giants is very, very good. You're going to have those Crescent Strikes coming out from Diana, throwing out those Qs. You're going to have Babetta tentatively trying to find grasping roots, and all the while Caitlyn's just going to outrange every single person on the map right now. And if any of those abilities land and deal a little bit of damage, they've got a great let's go in composition to pick up kills.
Soaz shows himself in the middle, and look at this. They haven't gone anywhere yet. They're still around this bottom lane. And potential actually was there for a brief period for an actual base race, but it's not going to happen.
No, not this time around. Giants, they tend to play a little safer. You know, when we think about the games and how they've been playing all season long, they'll make plays, but they do err on the side of caution more than anything else. And Fnatic, seeing an opportunity to steal away the blue buff, this is just going to be completely uncontested and a great steal.
Well, it's a return steal as well, because Samox, of course, took away the blue buff from Fnatic's jungle a moment ago, and this time Morden, well, he just got there a little bit too late. They do have a ward in that bush. They try and land the charm. It gets straight in there. Morden has to flash the hell away from this one, and now Jim Bones finds himself in a danger. He's going to have to get away. The Cataclysm, they get Peke down. Can they turn around? 90 caliber net, but there's death sentence is going to be enough to finish Jim Bones. No! He barriers it off there, and now Extermin's getting on towards Cyanide alongside Samox. Look at Ace in the hole coming deep down. Soaz has dived on towards Jim Bones. Cyanide's going to get caught out. It's Samox that picks up the kill. Extermin as well on the turret. Soaz goes down. He manages to get the kill on towards Jim Bones, but Yellowstar returns and gets a kill of his own. No, he doesn't, because Samox escapes with the poison tick.
2 for 4 in favor of the Giants. They played that perfectly. They managed to bait them in, and crucially there, for the Giants, Peke had nothing left for Jims. He blew every single ability and spell on Morden. Couldn't blow him up instantly, and then was standing right in front of Caitlyn going, oh hi, I don't really want to be here right now. And Jims just pounded away and managed to deal all the damage he needed to.
Can we perhaps talk this one out or not? Doesn't matter.
Not this time round. Unfortunately, Peke was too charming for that engagement. It did actually go down, but a great bounce back from Giants. They're now within 1 kill. They've closed that gold lead a little bit, but they're going to need to make it up in terms of CS to really, really make that difference.
So let's look across the boards what that CS is. As it is, Samox and Soaz, just 2 between those. They've been in very different positions. Looks like the Dragon will get picked up by Fnatic. That's going to stretch their gold lead to 4,000 advantage. Junglers playing very similar roles. One going tanky, already got that Runic Bulwark completed Morden, and now starting to get some of that damage in there as well. Cyanide hasn't quite got that route so far. It went for the Iron Locket instead. Looking towards the mid lanes, well, it's a clear advantage for Peke right there. Huge CS advantage, huge kills advantage. No surprise there, but it's very different roles between them. But the AD carries right now. Jim Bones, we just saw the damage he has. If he's allowed to land it, he can do a lot of damage. He took down Peke and Soaz in that last fight.
So importantly, I want to talk about Babetta right now. You can see him sitting with the Oracle's Elixir. He's clearing out vision as Fnatic and Giants are about to find each other. Cyanide is caught out, but he can take that Dark Passage home if he wants to. The moment he is going to get away to safety, but that Oracle's Elixir is about to wear out for Babetta, and he's got another one in his back pocket, so he's going to be clearing any vision that Fnatic have at any time, which definitely plays in their favor, and why that previous engagement went their way. You see Enrater trying to find somebody with that death sentence, and very bravely, Samox is not with his team, so he's relying on that counter engage and that control that Jarvan, that Zyra, that Diana offer to be able to defend this turret 4 versus 5.
It's all going to be on Babetta, I feel, to land that grasping move, because look at this, Samox, he's still going, and he's going to be getting very close to that middle turret. Suddenly they realize, they said, Mama, I'm coming home, and they're going to have to get back there to try and deal with this crazy train running up the mid lane.
He managed to get in range, but Samox decides to back off bravely just before he gets caught up by members of Fnatic. They're now going to group up and try to take their own blue buff as the previous one was stolen away. But Giants, again, putting up an admirable fight. Like we've seen earlier in the day today, there was just small mistakes that really cost him that particular game, but they don't seem to be losing the team fights like they did in that matchup. Right now, Fnatic, they're very sneaky as 3, and there goes Peke.
Peke goes deep, he's going to get in there and just about gets out of the way. The ace in the hole's only going to land on N-rated, and the shield immediately just absorbing all of that. While this is happening though, Samox, he's off on his own, pushing that top lane.
Peke literally just went, what on earth just happened? Because he jumped in there and lost all of his hit points before he could even really have a fight. So he's forced to recall very, very quickly. He's not going to get into lane quite as quick as he usually would with those home guard boots. It doesn't look like Giants want to press the matter just yet, because again, it is a 4 versus potentially 4 in this particular side of the map.
Tell you what, I'm not sure Yellowstar really wants a fight with Samox right now, because Aurelia, if he can get on top of Yellowstar, look, he's looking at it, he's thinking about it. If I can get on top of him, which also though means this bottom lane fight, there's going to be no AD carry there. Peke though looks like he's going to head towards the bottom, which means it's going to be a 4v3 in this bottom turret.
So we'll see how this plays out. Yellowstar's about to find Samox. Peke is close by. He's going to pick the fight.
Turns it back around. Peke might get there just in time. He has to use the barrier. Can he get back on towards him? No. Peke comes to save the day, but that does also mean there could be danger situation for the bottom lane, because the Giants realize it's a 4-on-3. They can push for this.
There's Jimbones. He's been caught. And Fnatic are thinking about going in, but there's no damage to back up the abilities, and Giants are just going to pick up a tower for free.
I mean, that's the crazy play from Fnatic there. That was a case of, yeah, we're going to get this kill, but we've just shown our hands so badly that we are going to lose a turret. I'll take an inner turret for a death any day.
Completely fair trade. The control that it offers, the vision, as well as the global gold. What Fnatic didn't anticipate or think about was that Giants were going to go aggressive. They do tend to play safely. They do tend to, doubt a little bit about their gameplay and their movements. And in that particular situation, they did the right thing. What I am seeing from Morden's Jarvan is quite interesting. He's got 2 long swords in his back pocket. So if we see him going for something like a Brutalizer or a Vamp Scepter, he's going for a fairly aggressive build.
Okay. He's going to take down that blue buff. No problems at all for that one. As he walks back towards that top lane, he's got Yellowstar with him. Yellowstar proved and showed really that how close Samox came to just taking him down in a straight-up 1v1 fight. It's not someone he wants to mess with now that Randy and Zoma is complete. Oh, the charm on Extermin lands brilliantly, and looks like Peke should be able to finish this one off the shield. Is it going to be enough? Oh, but it's going to matter because the ball's going to land. Ace in the hole. Look how much damage that Ace in the hole did on Peke.
Yeah, huge amounts of damage coming out of Jimbones there. With that Infinity Edge and Last Whisper, he's going to shred anybody from Fnatic. Also, I had a brain fart. It was the Spirit of the Elder Lizard that has been picked up there by Morden on Jarvan. Fnatic have stacked up. This is going to be a 5-man on Baron, and it's going to be against a 4-man of Giants. Exter is not there, and they're going to need him to pick this fight. Everything is available, though, for Giants, with the exception of that ace in the hole. So are they going to go for an engagement? That is the question. It looks like they're going to go.
Well, the Zyra ultimate would be perfect, but the Death Sentence lands onto Babetta. The ultimate's going to come out, but it really only pops them in the air. Cyanide's getting on towards Jimbones, but Jimbones is at the back and he's laying down the damage. He's going to have to make a run for this. Can the Death Sentence come out? Is it going to matter? No, it doesn't, because the triple kill's already there from Peke, and now he lashes in towards it. Morton's going to try and slide away from this one, but the poison from Yellowstar as he continues to chase. Hot footing, that little rat is scurrying along, tries to use the expunge, but doesn't get it down.
So 2 more kills, and Baron is still available for them if they wanted to go for it. This time around, Extermin is available, and he's busy running towards the Baron pit. With that Zhonya's Hourglass almost off cooldown, he may be able to run interference and at least force them off for a little bit. Let's see if he's going to decide to challenge. Everybody in Fnatic is relatively low. He just needs to land his skill shots to go in.
No, he was scared off straight away. The charm came in, and Peke just kept him well away from that fight. Extermin didn't want a piece of that.
Well, the damage from Peke is just, it's insane right now. With that Deathfire Grasp, as well as the Rabadon's Death Cap, he is shredding through everybody, and it's just such great play from him. He's landing the charms that he needs to land at exactly the right moments, And if nobody buys some additional magic resistance, he's just going to keep shredding them down. Because if you look down the items of the Giants, there's not much MR outside of that runic bulwark. Look at Morden.
My word, Peke comes across it. Oh, he hasn't got another ultimate to get back across there, so he can't pursue. And Morden's going to survive the ignite and slides his way to safety.
Manages to get away with a sliver of health, and it does play into his favor. Also, something else we got to touch on, the Ruby Sightstone there in the hands of Cyanide's Volibear. So obviously HP synergizing very well with Volibear. I'm going to see him being caught out just by a couple of roots. But all those additional wards, all that additional vision, it's just going to play into the hands of Fnatic so well. The battle isn't over though, because you see Soaz coming from the red buff area. This is going to be a 4 versus 3 if Giants are hanging around.
They're going to walk straight around that. Soaz is going to dive up towards Jim Bones, puts the death mark down on him, but it has to back away from the fight. Pop! Pop is indeed the word, because he had half hit points there. It was destroyed.
It was like putting a pin into a balloon. It just destroyed him. But it was an additional thing. He managed to get another Shadow Slash off the E, as well as the proc from his ultimate, and those two things combined even caught Jim Bones by surprise. He's like, oh, that kind of sucks. The rest of Fnatic now are stacked up as 4, and they're shoving down this lane. Peke is about to join the party. He's still a long way away. A number of pings in the middle and the bottom lane, but Fnatic, they want this.
They can just keep pushing. The Death Sentence lands on towards Exterminari there, but he does just survive, and now Yellowstar with them. They should be able to push on towards this turret. You can see Peke, he's clearing out that mid wave, so there's going to be a giant creep wave stacking in there. Fnatic rotating around. They're going to happy with take that inner turret.
So this will be the 5th turret of the game for Fnatic. Giants are there to defend, but I won't be able to get there in time. Dark Passage is going to pull Peke to safety there, and you can just see him sitting on the side, waiting to land that charm. And once he does get it, he will destroy people, especially now when you combine all of his abilities together. The DFG in conjunction with all the rest of his magic abilities, and then, of course, the Lich Brain. It's just such a great combination of damage.
So the Dragon goes down, and that extends the gold lead to 10,000, or just shy of 20-7. There's a stealth rat chasing down on towards Samix. He's not going to be able to catch on, though. Tries to put the slow down. He did have Soaz to join him, but instead it's not possible. And of course, with that Baron buff, it's got around about a minute and a half left on this one. Peke could be looking to maybe land his charms on some other victims.
Every single time he does, there's nothing left of his victims. To describe how, I don't know where I was going with that. Nevertheless, minions are down. Giants are holding off this tower relatively well. They've got good wave clear, which plays into their favor. So when you combine a lot of the abilities, as long as those minions aren't there, those towers have all that additional armor and magic resistance, sustain some of the damage. And we'll see if it works. Sidesteps the death sentence, and Enrated just trying to find a way in.
Throwing out the chains every chance he gets, and as it is pretty much off the hook right now, because he hasn't landed a great deal of those.
Well, the few that he has landed have been fantastic. Cyanide just takes a single shot, but that Warden's Mail and Giant's Belt will be helping him out. And Soaz, again, off to the side, split pushing. Samix is going to try pick an engagement there, and with that Randian's Omen, he should do relatively well. Oh, that just outraged.
Oh, but the charm lands on towards Exterminate. He actually dives in towards him. Peke can just ultimate away from that one. Everybody avoiding the Zyra ultimate. Soaz just around the side there. Does manage to get in. It's Enrated that gets the kill on towards Peke. Jim Bones. Oh, Soaz just turns around, flashes his shurikens back at him, and takes him straight down. And that's going to be the inhibitor turret going down. The inhibitor will follow, and that is surely going to be the game for Fnatic.
So they do have some minions in that mid lane. Fnatic are going to push up towards that mid inhibitor. I think that Giants may be able to fend off this for the GG push, but they will be down 2 inhibs, and the rest of Fnatic, they may decide to stick around. They've got a numbers advantage, but they're going to need to land the skill shots if they want to. Also, crucially, Peke does not have his ultimate available for that engagement, so wisely, they take the tower and back away. They don't give away any additional kills.
So Fnatic back off. They've got a huge chunk of change in their pockets. 12-2-3 right now for Peke on Ari. Oh, look at this. He just sticks around the blue buff. Is it going to be enough? The Cataclysm pancakes him on the floor, though, and he's not going to be able to get away from it. Cyanide turns around and gets a big bear paw in the back.
Well played there by Morden to land all of the abilities he needed to, crucially when under pressure. But the amount of burst that's coming out of Peke when you combo all of his items together is just really, really good. But thanks to that kill, Fnatic are going to steal away yet another blue buff. Going to give that objective to either Cyanide or Enrated. He's just playing safety there. He's lingering for the ward. You know, he literally just wants to pull Cyanide over, give him the lantern, get him to safety, and just walk away.
I think he was baiting it as well, the way he did that one last basic attack there. He's like, no, I'm going to steal it. Just toying with you, just toying with you.
Well, when you're 23-14 and you've got an 11,000 gold lead, plus an inhibitor, plus 3 towers, I think they're allowed to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, I played games with Enrated. I know how much that guy trolls. He would be trolling his team right now. Of course, Fnatic, this is really going to get them into first place, and it's going to keep the pressure on the Giants. The Giants actually have a tough game as well to get that first place. They've got to play the Wolves shortly as well, and that is really going to be a tough fight for that first spot.
So it's Gambit that are fighting for first. That's going to be the last game of the
Giants
day.
wish they were.
So Gambit will be having a tough game, but if Evil Geniuses, Evil Genius showed that you can beat the Wolves, and they did a very, very good performance against them earlier today. We'll see how well the Wolves have prepared for the Russians in that matchup. Before that, we of course have against All Authority versus Dragonborns that is following this game. Right now, Fnatic, it's up to them what the next objective is. 45 seconds on the clock. You'll see them positioning for some wards and some vision, and just setting up for another Baron fight. The last time they fought around this area, it went very, very well for them. So expect them to repeat the performance.
So the big glowing bear runs through the bushes, and Morden, well, he's going to be the victim if he sticks around any longer. They are going to collapse on towards him. Peke's in that mid lane, and look at this, how fearful they are. Ace in the hole coming out, actually does take a good chunk of damage.
And that is with Peke having a Rale's Crystal Scepter, so he's got a good chunk of HP on top of that, plus 500 health. And he does just get shredded by that Ace in the hole. Because of his armor value being so low, all the damage just goes through all that extra amount. The rest of Fnatic are grouped up around the top lane, and Peke is just running some interference. He's just trying to pull numbers away to try and create an opening either on the tower, or in this case, on the Baron.
No more fears for Fnatic. They are continuing to push through. And it's going to be a Baron, very much picked up for free. And that will turn them in towards the final push into Giants' base. I don't think there's a great deal the Giants can do about it, but we shall see. It is a very large Soaz, it's seemingly there, strolling through the bushes.
Going to be able to get to safety there. He's got that Warmost completed as well, so a lot of survivability, a lot of HP to survive all the burst that Exeter's going to be putting down, and the continued auto attacks coming out of Gyms. But with the regen that they've got, it's obviously going to help them out in this particular engagement, so we'll see how this pans out. And you see there, 797 ability power on Xpeke's Ari right now.
Holy moly indeed. That is a lot of ability power to build up in a pro game. And I think it's safe to say Peke's having a little bit of fun in this game as he comes dancing and prancing around the map on Ari as they push through to that inhibitor that has respawned in this mid lane. No, they actually didn't get it in the first place.
It's the bottom one that's about to respawn.
Landed on Samuks, but look, he can take a hit.
So the bottom tower is fairly close. Bottom inhibitor is relatively close to respawning, and as you can just see, with no turret being here, the rest of Fnatic are literally just going to brute force their way in. Another tentative hook being thrown out, but a particular one is not off the hook, as it were. Once again, not finding his target, but with the inhibitor down, they're now going to have map control again for the next couple of minutes. Fnatic are just again going to pick up a free inhibitor, and it's like we see out of Giants, they don't tend to engage when they really need to.
Cyanide happy to tank up the turret. And now you're going to see the flash engage from Babetta, but doesn't quite land onto them successfully as it is. It's going to be Peke. They focus on them. They do get him go down. Imagine if they could try and turn this one into a fight, but they just have to let it be because they can't catch on towards Soaz. He doesn't get involved. But it's another inhibitor going down, and that is going to be 3 inhibs burned, which means the super minions have just doubled from Fnatic's base.
1 for 1 in that particular trade. Peke did get focused. Giants blew everything that they had onto him. They lost more than the same time, but Deathmark wasn't used. The fight isn't over.
They're going to get the flip on towards Extermin. He uses that Zhonya's Hourglass straight away. Jimbones tries the kite, but the Deathmark manages to finish him off. Samuks is going to be able to take down Soaz, but now he suddenly realizes he's the last man standing. Flashes away from that big angry bear Cyanide running, chasing him down, and it's going to be N-rated. They have no reason to tank this one out. They've got super minions coming in from top, middle, and bottom, but it doesn't matter. Yellowstar's going to take down the one Nexus turret. The second Nexus turret should fall, and Fnatic are going to hold on to their place in the top slot. They've done everything they can do. It's over to Gambit to see if they can get them off that top spot.
And that is an important game because it will determine which team they have which team they'll be facing in that semi-final playoff. Samox is running interference right now as Mordred has now joined the party. Cataclysm goes down.
It's all about the KDA, I feel, but Yellowstar does finish off the Nexus turret. So that is the victory and the final game of the season for Fnatic until the next split. A fantastic performance as well. Look at that, 12-4-4 for Peke to end the game out. But it's got to give a good mention to Jim Bones. He tried as hard as he might, but it wasn't to be. So we're going to get over to the analysis desk. It's going to be Joe Miller and Jason Gaplin.
Thanks a lot, guys, and Fnatic can be happy with their performance there, Jason. I mean, Peke in particular, you got kind of fed there by the end on that Ahri.
He's a little fed. I mean, he's pretty much pulling a frog with how quick he can one-shot people. But then again, Soaz did the same thing at the end of the game to Jim Bones, who just, even with his amazing early start, just wasn't able to survive against that damage that a Zed can put out.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole problem as well, that if the AD carry gets so far ahead and the rest of the team aren't quite that level with him, they're going to have a real hard time of, you know, keeping on to him, especially, like you said, against a champion like Zed or like Ahri that can get straight in there and deal that damage instantly. And I think the word was plop that Trevor used there at the end when he got blown up from that one. So that obviously means that Fnatic now are at the top of the table.
Yes, they are, and that means Gambit, as I was saying before on the couch, just that if Gambit picks up a win, they will be top of the table, but it really does affect how the standings work in terms of the playoffs, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And, you know, if we're going to crown MVP for this game, Joe, who do we have to give it to? It's kind of obvious, but...
Yeah, I think everyone at home already guessed who we're going to give this one to. To Peke, he at the end of the game with 12-4-4. The interesting thing is that he did get incredibly fed in that game, but we saw in that last fight that Giants could deal with him. The problem is that they could really only deal with Peke. They only could get him down, and then after that they started to fall to pieces with a Zed at 7-5-5, 13 assists and a kill to just 3 deaths for Cyanide there on Volibear as well, and a 5-1-7 Twitch without even touching on him.
And we have to give an honorable mention to Samex as well, I mean, because not many people played Aurelia, but he held his own against Soaz in that bottom lane quite well. He actually even got a kill on him in the end, actually, it was relatively early on, but he just dove on him under the turret, popped Ignite, walked away like... walked away in the end from that. But, you know, we don't see Aurelia play too often. Season 3 items and changes weren't too kind to her, but we saw she still can work.
She can still work, and we've seen a couple of people go in there. Kevin is obviously the one that's really made it work for SK Gaming. But, as you said, nice to see a bit more Aurelia coming. Hopefully we'll get to see more of her in the future. So, we're going to head over to the main stage. Shox is waiting with our MVP for this one, Peke.
Thank you very much, Xpeki. You're up against compadre Exter in the mid lane. How's the Diana-Ahri matchup? It obviously went very well for you. Is that always the case?
No, I think the match of Diana-Ahri is kind of equal until level 6. At level 6, the first one that goes aggressive will normally win. And I got a bit of advantage early level, so I was able to get level 6, be stronger than him, and I went full on him and got the kill. And after that, pretty much, I snowballed the lane. The one that get the first kill, I snowballed the lane.
Giants, a lot of them are good friends of you. You know them well. What do you think they have to do to get their chances of staying in the LCS, maybe?
I don't know. It's like some games they play really good, but they don't seem to be that regular most of the time. So I think they will need a bit more practice, a bit more stable play. So one day they don't play the best, and the next one they play the worst. They just need to adapt and try to give a good game all the time. I think that's what they miss.
Consistency, that's something you guys have for sure. Next week, playoff week, who would you like to face?
Doesn't matter at all. Anyone. We don't face Gambit, so anyone else.
So confident to beat anyone else. Finally, can you tell us something about your own development in the LCS? You know, since coming here, you seem to have developed into one of the top AP mids or mid players. So what do you think you've gotten better at?
Well, I don't know. I got used to play here a lot, so I guess every time we play, I improve a bit. We all do. And I have no idea. I don't know if I improve a lot or not, but I know I play better, for sure, that I do less mistakes. Maybe I don't play better, but I have less bad games. Like, I only had 2 or 3 bad games during all the LCS, so I'm kind of happy with that.
Thank you very much, Xpeke. We're going into a short break. It's, of course, your last chance to get your answers in. Not your last chance, but we still have a couple of games to go to get your answers in for the Twitter question. What team do you think has the biggest chance of an upset win in the playoffs, and why? You can reach us on Twitter at @LOL eSports, #LCS. Now, watch out, Alex Ish. Here comes Bjergsen. The new mid kid on the block has proven time after time he's got the skills to beat the best. And he'll certainly want to finish Alex off today. As the Wolves have their mind set on 4th place, well, they already have 5th, of course. Now, Gambit versus Wolves is coming up in just a bit. An epic matchup between Bjergsen and Alex. Don't go anywhere.